Hello everybody, Maven here, and the reprised No Survivors SMG dropping from Rite of the 9 this week in the Ghost of the Deep dungeon is basically an exotic. It's like my dream SMG roll that I've been patiently waiting years for something to roll with this. It is an S tier weapon, and I don't think anybody can argue otherwise. Now when it comes to legendary SMGs throughout Destiny 2 history, nothing touches the multi-mock. The multi-mock is undoubtedly the greatest of all time, but the second place spot is, in my opinion, a tie between the Noxious Vetiver and this new No Survivors, and you're definitely going to want to grab a roll of this. So let's talk about said roll and also the build we'll be using with it today. Hope you enjoy. Shout out to our sponsor, Advanced GG, the #1 gaming supplement in the world. Use code MAVEN at checkout for 10% off. Link down below. Thank you. So let's start by taking a look at the No Survivors possible roles. In the left column, it gets Rewind Rounds, Heal Clip, Surplus, Attrition Orbs, Rangefinder, and Demolitionist, and in the right column, it gets Zen Moment, Master of Arms, Sword Logic, Target Lock, Adrenaline Junkie, and Incandescent. And if your PvE god role is Heal Clip Incandescent, I don't blame you. Heal Clip is never a bad thing, in fact, it's always a good thing, but my god role is easily gonna be Rewind Rounds with Incandescent. Rewind Rounds basically just doubles your mag for free as long as you land your shots. And whenever I talk about a god roll primary ad clear weapon on the channel, I always mention that the most important thing to have the most potent ad clear potential is to have a perk that either gives you lightning fast reloads or have a perk that alleviates your need to reload entirely, such as subsistence or rewind rounds. Because when you're clearing ads, you want as little to no downtime as possible. You don't want to let up or else you ain't doing your job right. And with rewind rounds greatly boosting our mag for free, it lets us stay aggressive longer and allows us to take better advantage of our exotic of the day, the Peacekeepers. With this exotic, your SMGs get a damage boost just for landing shots. It stacks up to 20 times, granting a massive 100% damage buff at 20 stacks and then decaying after a second. So having an SMG with a massive mag is the best way to abuse this gigantic buff. So with that said, let's do some damage testing over at our good old buddy Carl. And before we test the SMG, let's put Carl's health into perspective with the Cold Comfort rocket launcher, also dropping from Rite of the 9 this week, by the way. And it takes 5 rockets to kill Carl, or about 4.5 if you want to be specific. And then we come to the No Survivors with Peacekeepers at base with no buffs, and you can see the rewind rounds putting in the work, allowing us to keep those 20 stacks of Peacekeepers for longer, and that allows us to take out Carl in just 3 mags. Seeing as how it took 5 rockets, 3 SMG mags is pretty dang impressive. And now comparing that against arguably the best legendary SMG to pair with Peacekeepers, the Parabellum, with rewind rounds and deconstruct. So now we're stacking 2 different perks that greatly boost your mag size, so when you combine them together, you can see just how absurdly huge our magazine is, and that allows us to take out Carl in just 2 magazines. But the No Survivors ain't giving up that easily because it happens to have an extremely synergistic origin trait, Restoration Ritual, which loads in a free automatic reload if you have performed a finisher final blow at any point. And there's no cooldown. That free reload stays there forever until you use it. And the awesome thing about it is that rewind rounds takes precedence over it, meaning you fire off your initial magazine first, and then rewind rounds will take the next initiative and proc to give you the free reload there. And then after that runs out, you'll proc Restoration Ritual to get that automatic reload, and suddenly your mag is at full again and the cycle repeats. You dump that full mag, then rewind rounds procs again, and then you dump that again. So in other words, your mag size is absurdly enormous. So testing that out against Carl, and our mag is just so big that we nearly kill him in just 1 magazine. And what's awesome about this is that this combo is only taking up 1 of our perk slots, whereas the Parabellum had to take up both slots for rewinding construct, meaning that it skimps out on having any ad clear perks. And the No Survivors is running just off of rewind and the origin trait alone, so therefore not only does it win in mag size and burst damage, but we also get to have Incandescent, which is arguably the greatest primary ad clear perk in the game. I reckon it would kill Carl in one mag if you had a rewind target lock because you'd be doing 40% more damage, but you just can't pass up on incandescent because you gotta think about what SMGs are for. They're for ad clear. But the fact that a legendary SMG came that close to one magging Carl is nuts. And fun fact, there's only 2 exotic SMGs that can do that in the game. And that's the Osteostriga if you overflowed it to 108 in the mag, as well as the Barrel Dyad if you had your Blight rounds pre-procced from a different target. So only under certain conditions can they one mag Carl, but the No Survivors barely had to do a thing. All you had to do was perform a finisher against anything else previously, which is a pretty easy thing to do, and I definitely didn't take advantage of that enough in the background gameplay, but the option is there if you want to do it. So I think you can see why this is an S tier SMG and nearly on par with the multi-mock. This thing is a monster and every player should get their hands on it. It's not hard at all to get a god roll. The loot is extremely generous in Rite of the 9. Just go focus it and then grab the quest from the emissary and then literally do just one dungeon run, and afterwards go turn in your quest and open the free chest by riding the elevator by the emissary, and also spend your materials, your curio materials, to open the chest next to the emissary and grab a few extras there. And as a result of all this, you'll have like a dozen SMGs, some of them being adepts and some of them having double perk rolls. So it's really, really easy to get whatever Rite of the 9 god roll you want, so go take advantage of that. Now, I wasn't sure what activity to do for the B-roll background gameplay. I did the typical Hydro and Gilded Percept, but just for the heck of it, I also did a solo Shattered Throne run, so maybe I'll show some of that while I break down today's build. Now, if you're a regular viewer here, you might have seen me break this Strand Peacekeepers build down before. I've covered it a few times now with a few different SMGs, and today it's going to be no different. I just changed out the Strand mods for Solar mods, and that's it. Now, you can run the build on the Solar subclass if you please, so you can take advantage of Ember of Empyrean to have infinite restoration as well as infinite radiance, so your SMG can be 20% stronger, and that's pretty good. You can even take advantage of the Scorch that Incandescent applies with your other Solar shenanigans. But at the end of the day, I opted to go back to Strand because I just personally prefer that playstyle. Grapple's my favorite ability in the game, and I love Banner of War. And in ways, I think Banner of War is better than Ember of Empyrean. Like, I like the pulsing healing of the Banner of War. I feel it's more consistent than the Restoration at times, even. And Strand is also just extremely good right now because of the artifact mods. Since we have Thread of Isolation, we can easily sever anything we shoot with our SMG as long as we land a few crits. And that's going to unravel them thanks to the 2 Shreds artifact mod, which says dealing sustained damage to severed targets unravels them. And also, we're going to get these Strand Sunspots, which grant us Woven Mail for a 45% resist pretty easily. And unraveling these targets is going to allow us to utilize Horde Shuttle, so dealing damage to unraveled targets periodically spawns Threadlings, which will then sever if you enhance it. So despite not even using a Strand weapon, we can still sever, unravel, and make Threadlings as we please, which is extremely nice. And in that Shattered Throne run, when I got to the final Thrallway, I got a nice little clip here, which is kind of like a culmination of everything I just talked about. If you're in an ad-dense area, everything just gets unraveled and Threadlings just chain off all over the place, causing more sever and unravel. And this is why Strand is one of the best subclasses at the moment. The ad clear is just nuts and pretty effortless. If you'd rather go on Solar, that's on you. But personally, I would wait until Edge of Fate comes out because we'll probably have a few Solar themed artifact mods to juice it up at that point. Anyways, continuing on with the rest of the build, our subclass is basically the standard typical Strand Titan meta setup, nothing unusual. We got Banner of War, Into the Fray, Isolation, Generation, Ascent, and Fury. This is the typical way to run any Strand Titan, and it always has been, other than Isolation, which you would typically only use with Peacekeepers. That slot would otherwise be Warding, which isn't necessary right now thanks to the 2 Shreds artifact mod. And for our mod setup, it's just based around utilizing our double Solar Surges with time dilation to give our SMG a 17% damage buff, and we can make orbs for that via Heavy-Handed, Reaper, and Solar Siphon. And being a Strand Titan, we're obviously going to do a lot of punchy stuff, so we got Impact Induction for more grapple spam, and Double Hands-On for more super energy when we do our little punchy stuff, and Absolution to get our grapples and Frenzied Blades back. Then to round it out, we got triple resist on the chest and powerful attraction to help with orb pickup. And for our stats, I opted for double hundreds in resilience and discipline and dumped the rest into strength. And for the rest of our loadout, I went with my favorite special weapon in the game, the Supremacy, which is great for DPS and range, and then an eager edge sword just to get around, but that heavy slot is pretty free to run whatever you want. I'd recommend the Thunderlord for overloads or the Dragon's Breath for unstops, and that about does it for the build. This SMG is peak. It don't get much better than this unless we get the same exact SMG roll, but on a 900 RPM frame, because they do better DPS. So have fun getting yourself one of these things, and thank you for watching. As always, the dim loadout link to today's build will be down below in the description, and also the pinned comment if you'd like to give it a try. And if you got anybody who are Titan mains, I'd appreciate if you consider sharing the video with them. Perhaps this is something they might want to try out. And if you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate if you hit the like button, as it helps out a ton. Let me know what you think about this SMG and the build in the comments. And if you are new here, please consider subscribing. Would love to have you here for more content on the way. And remember to check out our sponsor, Advanced GG. Use code MAVEN at checkout for 10% off your order. Link down below, and I will catch you in the next video. See you later.